Well, hey there, and welcome to Unmistakably You. I'm Amy from Unmistakably You, and I'm a wedding planner and an educator here in London, Ontario, where we have actually maybe hit spring. Not 100% sure on that, actually. It might be kind of cool next week. But for now, it's beautiful outside, and hopefully, you got to enjoy some of the weather we're having today. Welcome. As always, we go live every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. If you are a longtime listener, thank you. We appreciate you. If you're joining us for the first time, please make sure you introduce yourself. We always love to make new friends. And we are here, as always, to help support you wherever you are along your wedding planning journey with any questions that you have, any issues that you may be dealing with, and any support that you may need. So think of us like your wedding planning BFF. We are here for you. So, don't hesitate to reach out. If you are watching this live, pop in a comment, say hi. If you're catching us on the replay, of course, post a comment. We're happy to hear questions or thoughts or ideas after the fact. But like I said, we're here every Wednesday night talking about hopefully relevant issues in your wedding planning. And if you joined us last week, we talked about the role of your MC on the wedding day. And today we're going to talk about the role of your wedding party, not only on your wedding day, but also in the months, years leading up to, depending on where you are in your planning process. So, as always, nothing that I say is ever written in stone. I think probably the most common words that I say, which probably will be written in stone on my tombstone, are that there are no wedding police. So, no matter what the complexion of your wedding party is, or how you choose to structure things, or the events that you're doing or not doing, you are right. You do what is right for you. I am here to tell you what we have seen, what we would like to see, and kind of give you some guidance along the way. So, thank you for joining me here tonight to talk about the role of your wedding party. Now, first and foremost, like I said, there really kind of are no rules anymore. We see wedding parties, we see wedding teams because some couples don't like the traditional labels. We see lots of traditional maid of honor, best men, but we also see men of honor and best ladies. And we see all kinds of mixing and mingling. And that's one of the things that I think is actually so cool about stepping out of the comfort zone and the tradition of the, tried and true wedding party is that you can have guys on the girls' side, you can have girls on the guys' side, you can mix it up, you can have all guys, you can have all girls, does not matter. Heck, you can even have your parents in there if you want. I had just an absolutely lovely wedding. Oh my gosh, probably 5 years ago now, where the maid of honor was actually the bride's mom. And it was so lovely and moving. So there are absolutely no rules when it comes to setting up your wedding party, just like there are no rules when it comes to their roles throughout the planning. Now, right from the get-go, the hope is that your wedding party or your wedding team or whatever you call them are primarily as a support system and as a sounding board. You're going to make a lot of decisions that are very emotionally fraught and oftentimes very financially fraught as well. You're going to have a lot of pressure on you. And the hope is that the people that you choose as your wedding party are there to support you through thick and thin. And they are your tried and true besties who are never going to lead you astray. They're going to be there to support you and guide you throughout. So, I mean, I've done lives in the past about choosing your wedding party, so go back in our archives and find those. But just to kind of distill it down, try not to choose somebody out of pressure or obligation. Don't let your parents pressure you into having your sister if you and your sister just traditionally butt heads. And that I know is easier said than done. But ideally, your wedding party is there as your support and your guide kind of throughout the planning. They may not know anything about planning a wedding, but they know you and they know what you're going to be comfortable with and uncomfortable with, and the decisions that maybe you should make, but you're being swayed away from by different pressures in different places. So choose people who are going to be in your corner. Again, I know easier said than done. You also want to consider when you're choosing a wedding party how busy or available or financially available they are going to be, because being in a wedding party can be a pretty big commitment. It can be a financial commitment, an emotional, and a time commitment. And so just step into the choice of your wedding party with the knowledge that you are actually asking a lot potentially of these people, and just kind of have that open mind about people who might not be in a financial position to, hypothetically travel across the country to attend your shower and your bachelorette and your wedding day and buy you a gift and buy a dress and pay to have their hair and makeup done and all the things. And the hope, of course, is that you and your friends are open enough with each other to have those conversations. If someone is fully there to support you, but not able to do it in the capacity of the wedding party, don't let that ruin your friendship. But again, that's another live for another day. I've done that. I've been there. So go back and check those ones out. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the roles of the wedding party. And so throughout the planning process, your wedding party members at any point may be involved with selecting attire. So they may attend, like bridesmaids dress gown selection events. Clearly, there's no official name for that. They may go to your tux shop to select tuxes. You may have members of the party mixing and mingling as you have maybe gowns on one side, tuxes on another, or mixing up, or nobody wears a traditional suit or a gown. But the wedding party is traditionally involved in selecting the attire. And then from there, they are traditionally kind of responsible for making sure that they look decent in whatever it is that they're wearing. So if that means having a gown fitted and altered, if it means submitting measurements to a suit shop, if it means going in to pick up a suit and recognizing, hey, you know what, they misaltered this in my pants or at my knees. Usually those are the kinds of things that the wedding party is responsible for on their own. They may also help with the selection of the couple's attire. So if there is a gown or if there are gowns being purchased, wedding party will sometimes, not always, attend those gown shopping events. Caution there is to try to keep your opinions at a minimum, which might mean keeping the people attending your gown shopping excursion to a minimum. It might be appealing to have all 19 of your bridesmaids there, but realistically, is that going to be helpful in making a decision at the end of the day? Maybe not. Your wedding party may, but doesn't have to be, involved in attending meetings at your venue or with your vendors, giving some advice, acting as a sounding board and a listening ear. They may also be called upon to help mediate in tense situations. I mean, I hope that you have no tension throughout your entire wedding planning process, but I've been in this business long enough to know that that's probably not realistic. So you want someone there who's in your corner to listen if you've had a fight with your mom, or if your sister's pressuring you, or if your cousin is trying to one-up you because their wedding is 2 weeks before yours. So there are all kinds of situations, and ultimately you want that support system throughout the planning process. That really, if you ask me, should be the ultimate goal of selecting your wedding party, is that you've got your peeps, the ones who are in your corner. Now, there are also some traditional events that wedding parties have through the ages helped plan. But again, as I say, as much as wedding parties are changing, the events that are traditional are changing, and you don't need to feel pressured or forced or obligated to host any of these events. And in fact, a lot of the pre-wedding events shouldn't be hosted by you. They should be, if they're going to happen, hosted by your wedding party or by your family. And so when I talk about pre-wedding events, I'm talking about things like showers. Now, if we were back in 1950, when the couple had never lived together prior to marriage, they were both still living in their parents' houses, there was no house set up, there had been clearly no cohabitation prior to the wedding. It was a kind of different landscape. So a shower evolved as a way to help, again, if we're going to be traditional and stereotypical about it, as a way to help the bride outfit her new house with her husband. Because again, stereotypically, traditionally, that would have been the role of the woman. And we know that nowadays that is not the case. Oftentimes, our couples live together prior to marriage. They already have a house. They've been combining two houses. They already have two toasters and two sets of, bakeware and glassware and all the things. So showers nowadays can or may not happen. Traditionally, though, and still even currently, they shouldn't be hosted by you, because showers, if you choose to have one, are still a chance for your wedding guests, because again, traditionally, no one should be invited to a shower who's not invited to the wedding, although we see that changing and morphing as we, progress through time away from the 1940s and 50s. But again, traditionally, they would be wedding party guests who would be invited to help stock your pantry or equip your kitchen, or sometimes even give you a trousseau to take with you on your honeymoon. So we do still sometimes see those themed showers where there is a kitchen theme or a linen theme or a honeymoon theme, which translates to lingerie, let's be honest. There could be a travel theme as well. So if your wedding party is hosting a shower for you, traditionally it would be the wedding party hosting a friend's shower, and then perhaps a mom or a sister hosting a family shower. So if we're talking wedding party, we're probably talking friends. And if there is a theme, you probably want to look at having a registry set up in advance. That is a whole other topic, again, for a whole other day. We have written a blog post about it. Head on over to Unmistakably You and check out that blog post in our archives. But if there's a theme, if you're hoping for specific gifts, you'll want to set up a registry. And oftentimes, again, we do see themes, but also sometimes we still just see a generic shower where guests are invited to shower the bride or the couple or one of the partners with gifts. And to that end, we often see co-ed showers these days, or couples showers where both brides or both grooms or the bride and the groom are invited to share that event together. Regardless, though, it is still not really kosher for you to host your own shower, because you're asking guests to give you presents, and that's still kind of in polite society not cool if you send out an invitation and say, hey, come to this thing and give me presents. So this still should be hosted by a member of your wedding party. And traditionally, that would be your maid of honor, but usually in conjunction with all of your bridesmaids. And again, if you have a collaborative wedding team, then there are no rules. The best man, the best lady, whoever wants to is more than welcome to host a shower. Another event that we often see are the stag and doe or buck and doe or doe and doe or whatever we want to call it these days. These tend to be fundraising events, and as such, again, shouldn't be hosted by the couple, because you are asking people to come and give you money. We recognize that weddings are expensive, and as everything post-COVID is, the cost is climbing. And so these are events where people attend, they get a fun night out. It's usually a big, wild, drunken party on a Friday or Saturday night where guests can come, they purchase drinks, there's usually food provided, oftentimes there are prizes or games, and ultimately the goal is that the couple makes some money at the end of it. Again, not the time or place to discuss how to run a stag and doe or buck and doe or doe and doe, but just be mindful, or advise your wedding party, who should be doing the planning, to be mindful of lottery and gaming restrictions, gambling restrictions, and alcohol gifting restrictions, because the Alcohol and Gaming Commission has cracked down on showers a lot, on stag and does a lot in the past 10 years. So just advise your wedding party who are doing the planning to be really cautious and aware of the current regulations and laws when they are planning a buck and doe or stag and doe or doe and doe, whatever we're calling it. And finally, one last caveat is do not depend on the finances from an event like this to actually cover the costs of your wedding. I never want to see anybody dependent on something that's not a sure thing. So ideally, in a perfect world where it's run well with profitable games that are also legal and all the alcohol sales that you're profiting off of, you can make money here, but don't depend on it to finance your wedding. The third kind of event that we would traditionally see a wedding party planning would be your bachelor or bachelorette party. Again, very traditional thing. This is kind of the last hurrah in the last couple of weeks before you're married. It would traditionally be the girls go one place, the guys go another place. But again, as maybe we've got two brides or two grooms or mixed wedding parties, it could be a joint event. It can shake down however you want it to shake down, or it doesn't have to happen at all. If it's not your jam, you don't need to do it. There's no rule book. But traditionally, this would be planned by your closest wedding party members. So maid of honor, best man, or whoever your similar people are. It could be legitimately anything from a quiet tea party into a wild weekend in Vegas. Again, no rules, but it would usually take place in those 2 weeks before the wedding. And again, probably not something that you're going to be planning for yourself. So between showers, fundraising events, and bachelor bachelorettes, those would be kind of the big events that the wedding party usually spearheads the planning of. And then, of course, they have roles in the week before the wedding in terms of making sure they look good. So I mentioned before, finalizing those alterations, picking up suits, making sure that their attire is on point and that they have the appropriate shoes and accessories. Attending appointments, if you have any kind of spa appointments, that's often something that you would include members of your wedding party in. If you're doing a DIY wedding, a property wedding, a barn wedding, oftentimes there's a lot of onus placed on the wedding party to help with setup and decor. If you're having your wedding in your backyard and you're having a tent set up and chairs and tables delivered, somebody needs to set up those chairs and tables. And often that falls to the wedding party on the day or the days prior to the wedding. Usually you would request the day or a couple days prior, depending on when you're hosting your rehearsal, that your wedding party attend that. And that's usually an expectation the night before or a couple of nights before that the wedding party would attend the rehearsal, and then often the rehearsal dinner. Now that's something that traditionally the couple would plan, but you certainly can involve your wedding party in the planning of a rehearsal dinner because they're going to be attending it as well. And then traditionally, you would see a wedding party staying overnight together the night before the wedding. But nowadays, again, as we have couples who are living together and it's not 1948, we don't have separate houses and we've had premarital sex, let's be honest. Sometimes those traditions of, like the girls staying together and the guys staying together tend to be a little bit less important than they used to be. So the night before the wedding, there are no real expectations on the wedding party aside from whatever the couple decides they're comfortable with. Now, on the day of the wedding, of course, you are again expected to be the ultimate support system. You need to take care of your couple. You are going to be the gopher. You need to make sure they've eaten, that they've had water. You're probably also going to put a beer or a mimosa in their hand, and that's cool. Make sure they get some water too, though. Help them to stay calm. That is definitely a role of the wedding party, as is the GSD rule. So wedding party on the day of the wedding, absolutely responsible for getting shit done. So if, again, it's a private property wedding, there are probably lots of moving pieces that still need to be executed or implemented. You may find yourself as a member of the wedding party helping to solve problems, executing the vision, setting up the decor, that kind of thing. And to that end, I also, as I work as a planner or a coordinator, I often like to be connected with whoever the most responsible or knowledgeable person in the wedding party is, because sometimes there are questions that I have that I don't want to go to the couple with, I don't want to go to the parents with, and I always want to know who is the sort of trusted sounding board or the most involved in the planning, who will have the answers to my questions. So as a maid of honor, man of honor, best lady, best man, you may be asked by people at the venue or people on the vendor team, what to do in a situation. So the hope is that, of course, you know the wedding plans well enough to be able to answer those questions. You may have to help the bride pee. Let's be honest. If there's a bride, if there's a dress, if there are two brides and two dresses, you may be asked as part of the wedding party to assist with the bathroom necessities. And that's not glamorous, but hey, it's a fact of life. You may also, as part of the wedding party, be asked to give a speech. Most traditionally, the 5 speeches would be parents, best man, maid of honor, and couple. Although, of course, tradition is not a thing. There are no wedding police. So any member of the wedding party may choose to or be asked to speak or not. And we're seeing lots of flexibility with those traditions, which I kind of love because it allows the couple to be able to personalize their day a little bit more. But if you're a member of the wedding party, be aware that you may be asked to give a speech. And the hope then, and again, this has been another live. There are resources. If you need them, ask me. I'll send them to you. You may need to give a well thought out, pre-written, and thoughtful speech. You also oftentimes will be asked to assist with teardown at the end of the night. A lot of venues require that everything be removed at the end of the night. If you don't have the luxury of a full planner or a decor team, or if you haven't rented absolutely everything, there may be some elements or lots of elements of the decor and supplies for the wedding that need to come out at the end of the night. And so you may want to put your wedding party on tap for that as well. Now, after the wedding, there tend to be fewer formal responsibilities, but there are usually some things to wrap up. You'll need to perhaps return a rented suit or a tuxedo. You may need to help if the couple is leaving on a honeymoon to return their glassware to the florist or to help return their rentals to the rental supplier. You may need to attend a post-wedding brunch if there is one. Typically, that's been planned by the couple. That's not usually a wedding party responsibility, but attendance and, hopefully non-hungoverness is a requirement. You may need to provide some support through the post-wedding blues if one or two of the couple are going through that. And hopefully, of course, in your role as a member of the wedding party, you will also be a lifelong friend. So that role as a sounding board and support system will be reprised throughout your life as you continue to hopefully be involved in the lives of the newly married couple as they start the next chapter. Thank you, as always, for listening. Next week, join us as we talk about the roles of the parents, which, spoiler alert, hopefully is to stay out of the drama. And as always, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, don't hesitate to hit me up. And, you can shoot me an email, amy@unmistakably.you.com. You can send me a private message. You can post a comment on either the Facebook or the YouTube stream, wherever you're catching this. And I hope to see you next week and every Wednesday at 8 o'clock from here on out. Happy planning. Enjoy the spring. Hopefully it sticks around. And I will catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.